Hey, what's going on everyone? Matthew from therighttrader.com back today with another daily crypto update. Today we're going to go over our normal schedule and a more detailed technical analysis on TradingView in just a second. And one of the topics that I wanted to talk about in this video is how long should it take for cryptocurrencies to start moving back up again? And the answer is pretty clear if we look at the Bitcoin chart. Now, of course, we can always move higher a little bit earlier than expected if things go particularly well, but for now it does look like we're going to remain in some consolidation for a little bit longer, and I will tell you exactly how long it should take in the Bitcoin technical analysis when we get to that. But keep in mind that we could always drop towards the downside, right? That is always a possibility, and at this point some might even say that it's 50-50. The good thing with that is that we've already seen a significant pullback, so you really have to start asking yourself the question, can we really fall that much more? And while it is possible, it becomes less and less likely the more we fall, right? And we've already fell quite a bit. So just to talk a little bit about the general market, we did experience a relatively slight pullback today, and that was in part due to Bitcoin coming up on some resistance, and Binance also got a lot of FUD its way today. Now, what happened was there was some reports that it was getting kind of cracked down by Japanese authorities, and because they didn't register with the FSA, and that they were going to be shut down, stuff like that. Now, very quickly, the Binance CEO, which is very active and proactive, I should say, very quickly dismissed those comments, saying that it was basically, false news and a complete lie, basically, that it was just clickbait material. Now, he is very good as far as calming that type of stuff down, and it looks like for the most part it was just a bunch of FUD. Now, I just wanted to let you all know about that in this video. And with that being said, we're going to jump right into the technical analysis. Before I do that, make sure to follow me on Twitter for live cryptocurrency market updates. Link to that in the description of this video. And also check out my premium content where you can find monthly cryptocurrency buying opportunities, as well as 5 high return cryptocurrencies for your 2018 portfolio. I will be releasing new buying opportunities very soon, so now would be a good time to get in. And yeah, link to that in the description of this video. Let's get started with the Bitcoin technical analysis. So first off, let me mention before I forget that based on our consolidation here, like you all know, we're in the symmetrical triangle over here, and we're even in this tighter range between $9,000 and $8,000. That's why we experienced a little pullback here. I think we might fall a little bit lower again, moving back towards $8,000 now. The end of our formation is in around 16 days. So in about 2 weeks is when we should break either towards the upside or downside of our formation, right? Because like I mentioned, we usually end up getting our move when we reach the end of our formation, which, like I said, is in around 16 days. So that's how much time it should take before cryptos should be able to move back up higher. That's, of course, based on the assumption that we will be moving higher, like I said, not guaranteed, but seeing how the indicators are starting to stabilize, maybe even moving towards the upside a little bit, and we did experience a massive pullback, it just makes sense that it's more likely that we move towards the upside right now, but anything is possible, right? Especially in a symmetrical triangle formation. We also see our Bollinger Bands that are contracting a lot towards the price, and our middle band that's coming back towards that $8,500 area. So it just becomes more and more likely that we're going to see some more consolidation for the next 2 weeks. And I did want to mention the indicators because we're looking pretty good here. We got a positive crossover on the MACD and histogram, so we want to make sure that continues to pan out a bit more. Even though it'll probably be relatively flat here for a little while, it is good nonetheless, right? That means that we're coming out of this downtrend. We actually, managed to get that crossover fully. It is always possible that we cross back towards the downside like we did over here, but for now, it's doing what we want it to do, which is at least start to flatten out, right? Now let's go over the Ethereum chart and take a look at what's going on. Now, Ethereum has been consolidating exactly like I said, near this lower range here, basically above $500, but not more than $625. I think that's the highest that we could go right now, and we're struggling to even get there, right? The highest we went in the short term was around $600. We've got the Bollinger Bands and the middle band that are downtrending pretty severely. Our indicators are starting to flatten out a bit. We can see the RSI trying to get back above the 30 line, so that is good. At least we're flattening out. That will be our first attempt at a crossover on the MACD and histogram, so that definitely could fail like it did back here, but at least we're starting to flatten out, like I said. And as for the consolidation that we're in, I think it's going to continue basically between $600 and $500 until we get closer to our red downtrend line, this little triangle formation right here, and then potentially we can break towards the upside or the downside if the market is going to start moving lower. But that's further confirmed by the fact that the Bollinger Bands and middle band are not done falling yet, and that doesn't mean necessarily that the price is going to fall more right now, but it just means that they need to start to flatten out, right? And that's going to take a little bit of time, and that further explains the consolidation that we should see over the next, week or so. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at Litecoin. It's in a bit of a better position. It is coming up on a lot of resistance due to the middle band, which is downtrending. Same thing with the Bollinger Bands. Lower Bollinger Band is actually flattening out a bit, which is good. And really what it comes down to here is I think we're going to continue to struggle to get back above the middle band for now until that flattens out a bit more. And we're actually moving back below that $165 mark, which is a pretty big resistance level. I think at this point we're probably going to come back and test around the uptrend line, hopefully get a bounce there. We definitely don't want to start moving below that because it is major long-term support. And just slowly but surely trend higher along that uptrend line, hopefully, as we wait for Bitcoin and the rest of the market to get its next push higher. Now, as for the indicators, starting to flatten out a bit, but the MACD and histogram are struggling to get that positive crossover, which is normal, right? That's due to the fact that we still have some resistance here, especially with the middle band. That's what's causing Litecoin to, be somewhat tame right now. Let's go over the Nano chart. For now, we're trading between 93,000 and 100,000 Satoshis, so that's the smaller range that we're in right now. The bigger range is 80,000 up until the downtrend line. It's hard to say if we're going to remain in the tighter range. I think that seeing how Bitcoin might drop a little bit more, wouldn't be surprised to see us moving back towards that $80,000 mark. We want to try to avoid moving lower in that range below 100,000 Satoshis as much as possible. But we do have support at 80,000 Satoshis, so it wouldn't be the end of the world. We just want to make sure that we don't start really moving towards 50,000 Satoshis. For that, we just need to make sure that we stay above 80,000 Satoshis, make sure we get our support there. As far as our resistance, that's going to come from either our resistance levels over here, like I mentioned, 100,000, 93,000, 80,000, or just the downtrend line, really. That's the level that we want to get back above as far as triggering our bullish signal. Now, let's go over the Ripple chart and take a look at what Ripple has been up to. It's been in a pretty tight consolidation, and actually it's not looking too good today because we're slightly dipping below that 65-cent support level, and we still have our Bollinger Bands and our middle band that are downtrending a bit. So we really wanted to see those start to flatten out a bit. It looks like we may take a small hit here. And if we start to move a little bit lower, we're pretty quickly going to go back towards that 50-cent mark, which is a little bit dangerous because if we go below that, then we really are in for a test of 30 cents. And that'll wipe out pretty much any gains that we had during this run-up. It's hard to tell what's going to happen specifically right now. The indicators are pretty flat. I feel like definitely a chance that we go back to 50 cents. I don't really see us moving below that within the next week or so, unless the rest of the market takes a pretty big hit. That could definitely push Ripple lower. Hopefully that doesn't happen. Let's take a look at NEO and let's see what it's been up to. So NEO has been downtrending along this downtrend line over here, and it's finding support off that, but it is moving lower, especially with this severely downtrending middle band. It explains why we could continue to see a little bit more of a drop, at least towards $60. And as for the indicators, we attempted to get a crossover, but looking like we're going to fail this first crossover, to be honest. So I'm not expecting that to hold right now. Could we fall back below our downtrend line? It is possible. I wouldn't count on that either. I think we're probably going to continue to trickle somewhat along this downtrend line right here, maybe back towards $60. Could drop even a bit further than that if the rest of the market does, but probably in for a little bit more downside and then some consolidation here for NEO. Just to recap things and make it simple, let's go over our next crypto, which is going to be Stellar, and let's see what Stellar has been doing. So right now, Stellar is basically consolidating between 2,600 and 3,000 Satoshis. I should really go ahead and put in that 2,600 support level, and to be honest, just to make it easier, I'm going to pull that down just a little bit towards 2,550 Satoshis is where this all have support as well. So as you can see, that's pretty much in line with where our lower Bollinger Band has found some support. And it's an interesting level, right? Because if we manage to hold above that, then we're really avoiding any kind of bigger drop. However, if we do end up moving below that, we could pretty quickly start moving towards 2,000 Satoshis. For now, our indicators are managing to experience a slight uptrend, which is good, but we can see that the price action is still struggling a bit. For now, I'd say probably going to see a little bit more consolidation between 2,500 and 3,000 Satoshis, but we can see that the middle band is dipping a little bit towards the downside, and we just need to make sure that we don't start dropping below 2,500 Satoshis, because at that point, that's where we're going to see a little bit more of a drop. Now, let's go over Vertcoin and see what Vertcoin has been doing. So Vertcoin, surprisingly, I wasn't expecting this, but it's looking pretty strong here. It actually managed to break out of its downtrend line, and that's something that I wasn't expecting at all. I really thought we were going to experience a pullback there. Now, massive jump on the RSI, great U-shaped bounce there. MACD histogram moving towards the upside. To be honest, I am surprised by this move, and one thing that I will mention is I have a lot of trouble seeing how we're going to get back above $3.23 right now, just because that is a major support level. This move is kind of surprising in the first place, and especially we have this upper Bollinger Band that's quickly coming towards the downside. That's going to act as even more resistance at around that $3.23 resistance level. So we may test that at best. I think we're going to see a pullback after that, and we're going to come back, probably towards $2.33. So basically, start trending maybe a little bit lower along the Bollinger Band, but it looks like we're actually going to see some pretty decent consolidation around $2.35 basically, which is actually pretty good. I'll go ahead and put in that support level as well, just so you get a better idea. I drew it a little bit lower near $2.20, so you get the idea, right, in this range right here. Basically, some consolidation around the middle of our $1.54 and $3.23 range, which is good, right, considering that some of these cryptos are at risk of dropping more or are consolidating at some of their lower ranges. Vertcoin is actually doing better than most right now. Let's take a look at our next crypto. That's going to be Lisk. And Lisk has been in some pretty interesting scenarios right now. As you can see, its MACD and histogram are looking very good, right? Uptrending, managed to get some great positive crossovers. The RSI is now taking a bit of a hit, and the price is coming back towards that $12.15 support level. Now, our next support level is at around $10, and we've definitely tested that twice, so could drop even lower than that if we do end up going back towards that level. The Bollinger Bands are somewhat contracting towards the price, which is good. The more they do so, the more likely we are to see some consolidation above $12.15. And the middle band is starting to flatten out a bit. So I think for now, unless we see a drop below $12.15, I think we're going to see some consolidation between that level and $15. So this range right over here. Now let's go ahead and take a look at our next cryptocurrency. That is going to be Cardano. And let's see what Cardano has been up to. So right now, we're still in our range between 2,000 and 2,500 Satoshis. Very tight Bollinger Bands. Middle band extremely flat as well. And the indicators are looking pretty decent, right? Especially the MACD and histogram are beginning to uptrend pretty nicely. For the RSI, experiencing some resistance here around that 40 line. And right now, although the indicators are looking pretty good, that just tells us that we're probably going to see some consolidation and not likely to see that much more of a drop. But like I said, some consolidation is definitely likely here, and I think that's going to continue a little bit longer. We're definitely going to need to put in a bit of a base after this massive drop, really get in some consolidation that'll allow us to get some support to move higher. And right now we're in this pattern, which is usually pretty likely, and actually if you look at the indicators, that becomes even more clear. A U-shaped recovery pattern, right, where the Bollinger Bands experience a downside movement, and then we start flattening out, and then we can move back towards the upside again. And if we look at the indicators, very similar, right? Especially that MACD, very clear for that shape of U-shaped bounce, right? Where we're now slowly starting to come back up towards the upside. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at IOTA for our last cryptocurrency of the daily crypto update. And we came up on some resistance here at $1.47. Our middle band is also moving below that level. And as for the Bollinger Bands, they're contracting towards the price right now. Indicators not doing too bad, but probably going to see some consolidation as well. Right now, I expect some consolidation in this very tight range between $1.13 and $1.47. It just seems very likely right now, especially with how the middle band is moving in that range. So that's what I expect for the next week or so for IOTA. With that being said, this is the end of the daily crypto update. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Don't forget to check out my premium content and my Twitter. Link to those in the description of this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.